just try everything. Like, put yourself out there. Like, get in touch with as many people as you can. But, like, especially going through kind of high school into uni and, like, in uni, it's all about just experimenting, connecting with many different people, putting yourself out there to create the opportunities, being, like, really committed and, like, dedicated to what it is you want to do.
In 1837, Horace Mann created the education system, a system at the time designed to pump out factory workers and professors. The same system that is still being used today in the 21st century. Now, Mann's system is backfiring. We are being moulded by the same industrial system that has existed for close to 200 years. That system delivers us into a digital economy that has no need of our outdated skills. This isn't our teachers' fault. This isn't the government's fault. This is due to a rapidly changing world full of technology and unforeseen circumstances. And us Gen Zs are caught in the middle. Welcome to the Driven Young Podcast, the podcast for stressed, overwhelmed young Australians, teaching you practical life skills you can implement now to set yourself up in life. And now your host, Byron Dempsey.
Welcome back to the Driven Young Podcast. Today I sit down and have a great conversation with Aaryan Shah. Aaryan is actually the younger brother of Sachin, who was on episode 36 of this show. Aryan was born with a condition called Cerebral Palsy. Cerebral palsy affects body movement, muscle control, muscle coordination, muscle tone, reflex, posture, and balance. Basically, he does not have full control of his muscles. He uses a wheelchair to get around. However, Aryan is mentally fine. As you'll hear in this episode, he is a really smart dude. I was inspired by Aryan after hearing all that he had accomplished at such a young age whilst being born with his condition. Aryan has gone surfing, he's climbed mountains, he's done a TEDx talk, and I'm just scratching the surface. I think the common theme of this episode is so much of your limitations in your life are in your mind. And that is exactly what we cover in today's episode. We go into his story, how he achieved all that he has, how he stays positive and continues to grow, how he makes friends, how we are all lucky, we just have to take advantage of that luck, and so much more. As per usual, reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions or you're enjoying the show. Please consider leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. And finally, I've created a Buy Me a Coffee link for anyone who wanted to help support the show. So if you want to buy me a coffee and help support the show, just click the link below at the very bottom of the description. Now, over to Aryan. Hey guys, just want to jump in here and remind you, please message Aryan. He loves meeting new people and he would love it if you guys sent him some messages. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy what he's about and you like him as a person, just go shoot him a message, have a conversation. It would mean a lot to me and I think he would really, really love that. So thought I'd just jump in real quick. Now, over to Aryan. Aryan, welcome so much to the podcast.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's an honor.
An absolute pleasure to have you on. Super excited. And obviously, you are the brother of Sachin, who came on the show a few months ago, a month or two now, and he actually told a bit about you in that show, and that's where I came across you, and I was like, I got to get this guy on the podcast.
Yeah, I think it was because like I contacted you, commending you on that episode. As a podcast in general, and then you're like out of the blue, you're like, oh, we need to get you on the show, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So I want to dive into some fun stuff. I think there's lots to talk about, but I really want to go deep into your story. So, like, you know, who are you? What do you do? What have you accomplished? We heard some stuff that you've gone surfing. You just tell me how you've gone up like mountains and stuff. Like, so tell me a bit about your story. What was life like for you growing up?
Growing up, it was challenging at the beginning, obviously, because I had a complicated birth with almost not surviving, low platelet count, and then with cerebral palsy, usually the cause is when the umbilical cord wraps around your neck and cuts some signals to certain muscles, so it just shortens the brain signals there. So that was challenging, but then I feel like since then it's been kind of like an upward spiral ever since. I've been like very fortunate through like my family all helping me do so many different things, whether it be like traveling, public speaking, playing sport, going to just different events, trying to be as like normal as possible in whatever ways, or finding ways to do things that were pretty tricky, like going to the Maasai village in Kenya, or going up Machu Picchu, surfing, rock climbing, abseiling. Through some modifications, I've been able to do some pretty cool stuff over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so like, obviously for the listeners, you're in a wheelchair right now.
Yeah.
So the fact that you could surf or rock climb or abseil is like, how could that have possibly happened? Like, I think a lot of people who would be in your position would not think that was possible.
Yeah, well, I think one of the really big things to start off with is just have the will and just really want to do it. Because when you want to do something, it's going to happen. When there's a will, there's a way. When you either find a way or you make one. So that was the first thing. I was just like really open to trying different things and being adventurous. And then when you foster that attitude, people will come and help you. Because I'll be like, oh, this guy appreciates, or this person appreciates what we're going to help him out with. And then we're willing to help make that happen. So like there's a thing called disabled surfing each year, and it goes around Australia. In Sydney, the main one is in Coleroy. So there's like a number of different volunteers that come and help. Usually there's like 10 to 15 people per participant, and they all like help lift the board up and help people ride the waves and stuff. It's such a cool experience because it's rewarding for everyone, because like the volunteers get to see these people having an awesome time to help make it happen, and then there's the participants that just get to have an awesome day out they probably wouldn't have otherwise. And
often something they would have never thought would be possible.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing that's probably the most important. And with all the other stuff, just like the abseiling and going up Machu Picchu especially, that was pretty crazy, because initially we thought, how's this going to happen? And then we saw that like 3 porters were there, as well as a guide who took us. So each of them like piggybacked me and carried me up on the stairs. It was such a crazy experience. It was just so unreal that like I can make it possible, or they can make it possible. And like just having those experiences with people, regardless of like how much you talk to them, you just have that bond that lasts forever. Like you guys were there making that thing happen. That like unforgettable life experience.
Yeah, dude, so that's insane.
So sick.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like you achieved. I haven't even surfed yet. I've gone out surfing. I can't stand up yet. See, like you've achieved more than like what a lot of people will ever achieve in their life.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
I'm 19 now.
And you're 19. Like it's so crazy. And we've only just started scratching the surface. And I think that's such a cool point you made. Like if there's a will, there's a way. And then the other word that links into that is like persistence.
Yeah.
You've just got to be persistent.
And commitment as well. Because like when you're committed, you're not going to stop, and you're going to use all the resources and people you can to make your goals and achievements happen.
Yeah.
So that's another big thing.
Yeah, awesome, man. And so tell us a little bit about high school. Like what was high school like for you, and kind of that, I guess, that teenage phase?
High school was very interesting. I know like for a lot of your listeners, it'll probably be very up and down period. Like in year 7, you're kind of trying to find yourself. You mix in with these random people you don't know. It's just like experimenting. I know I said the wrong things to the wrong people, because my brother was like, oh, talk about this and this and this in high school. And then I just like, the first day I was there, I just randomly went up to these people from like different schools I didn't know, and like realized that later on they weren't the right people to talk about. Like talk about girls with these people and whatever. Like I kind of messed that up a bit. But I know like throughout high school, especially in the middle phase, in year 9 and 10, I lost a lot of confidence. And there was a bit of like social exclusion going on for me, because there was certain areas I couldn't get to, then people would go there, or when I would go to those specific areas to see those people, they would just leave shortly after. I went through a phase of almost like leaving my school and like really kind of struggling, but I feel that experience has really built me up a lot, because it's just made me a lot more resilient having that hardship. Like obviously at that time it wasn't the best thing, but looking back on it, I think I don't want to say I'm grateful for it, but
no,
it was definitely
I think you are. Like I have a lot of experiences similar where, you know, at the time it's terrible. You know, I had some stuff happen when I was a kid. You know, for example, my house burnt down when I was younger, and we lost everything. But you know, and then that was the reason we moved to Australia. And now I'm only here because I had the opportunity to be in Sydney. And so while yes, that sucks at the time, you can kind of slingshot that and take those failures, take those stuff that's happened to you and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Not all the time, obviously, if you lose a loved one or something, but in a lot of situations, like you say, there's a lot you can take and learn from.
Yeah, another cliche is like life is like 90% what you do with what happens to you, and like only 10% of like what actually happens.
Yeah.
It's all about how you respond to that adversity and how you like build your character. So that's a really big thing. And then I feel like after year 10, I kind of started opening up a little bit more. And then like, thanks to help from my mom and stuff, we got another lift installed in the school. So that was where like most of the year 11, 12 people hung out. So I used to go there a lot and kind of like opened up and build some connections. But one other important thing is, which people realize, is like high school connections, as soon as you were out, like most of them don't last because
for sure.
You're not stuck with the same people every day for the whole day for like however many years. Like you have the freedom to explore.
Yeah. And I think it's I meet people who are like still best friends with their friends in high school, which is quite rare because, as you mentioned, mostly when you leave high school, you might have some friends, but you've got the freedom to meet all these other people. Whereas when you're in high school, you've only got the 100 people in your year group or the 20, 30, 40, 50 people, and so you're kind of trapped.
Yeah, and then like it's a big like realization period after high school. Like, who am I? Who do I really want to be? How are these people going to help me like be the person I want to be? And then the thing which I really loved about uni is just like the freedom of it all. Like there's no one telling you what to do, no one telling you how to do stuff. It's all you being responsible for yourself. You can talk to as many people as you want. You can do as well as you want. Like no one else is liable. It's just you being your own kind of driver.
And you've got to be accountable.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And it's so important because I think it can be, for people like you probably love that. A lot of people don't love that because they go from, wait, you're not telling me what to do? And so they go from being told what to do in high school, and then you go to university and you're like, oh man, I have to actually be self-driven. I have to do this myself. The teachers aren't going to hold me accountable because I've got thousands of students.
Yeah, well, the really interesting thing is, like when I was in high school, I wasn't very self-sufficient at all. Like I actually had a lot of people like helping me with like tutoring after school and stuff like that. And then like ever since I've left high school, I kind of made a conscious decision that I'm going to do as much as I can, especially academically, by myself. And that has really like changed me a lot. Like I've become a lot more curious. I've become like kind of enjoying the process more, hardworking, sort of driven. I like it more because like you feel better because it's you creating your own achievements and like you doing well for yourself without assistance of others. Like it's such a better feeling because like you're the only one responsible. So you feel like that all the credit kind of goes to you, and then like you learn so much from it along the way by your different learning styles and like what you're interested in and how you kind of work best.
But exactly what you said there, you learn stuff along the way, because if you're just being told what to do, you don't really have to figure stuff out because it's laid out in front of you. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you've got to figure it out. And while you figure it out in that process, you're going to learn.
Yeah, doing stuff on your own is the best way to learn because then it puts you in those uncomfortable situations. Because you're all going to have to be independent one day. Like you're going to go off on your own into the big wide world and do your own things and follow your own dreams. So like doing things by yourself is the first step towards that. Absolutely.
And yes, I mean, you're wise beyond your years. That quote you said before, I think, about how 90% is what we do with what was it?
90%. Oh, no, life is 10% what happens and 90% of what you do with it.
It's cliche, but I think it's true, right? Yeah. And I think it's actually quite a powerful quote.
It's funny because I saw that on one of my friend's profile pictures. And I was like, oh, that's true. I didn't think about that for a long time. I was like, oh, that would be a cool thing to use. Yeah, it's like always relevant. It's on those like timeless quotes.
Absolutely. But let's switch gears. And so you finished high school. You said you went to university.
Yeah, I just finished my first year.
Oh, congratulations.
So I'm in Macquarie doing media and communications.
Yeah, and so what is media and communications? Like, what is your role? What are you learning?
Right. So, like, currently I haven't started my major, but in the first year, you just learn about, like, quite introductory stuff about, like, media production and, like, mass media and media technologies and things like that. So all about like the ways in which like the media interacts with different institutions. And currently I'm doing a subject on media and copyright law as a summer unit. So just basically about how like the different copyright sort of boundaries involved in like borrowing people's media and making media and like all the different record labels and history of and stuff. But what I really want to get into at the moment in the future is sports broadcasting.
Okay.
And I've kind of already sort of started the journey as I volunteer on a community radio station that runs out of Macquarie and UTS called 2SER. So I basically produce stories there. Mostly like, so what I do is basically contact a university expert in the field of the news story that I'm talking about. And then like I write up interview questions and like organize time with them to come on the show and stuff. So that's been a really cool experience. And this semester, I just did a couple of interviews as well. So that gives me like, puts me in front into the broadcasting.
Yeah, dude, that's unreal. And man, I need someone like you. I need someone to start organizing interviews, and like it's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's a lot of work at the beginning, like especially when you don't know. Like it took me a long time how to learn how to like upload the podcast into the Twitter post and stuff.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, it's alright.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you have to put a lot of faith in the people to reply to you. Like if they don't reply, then you basically don't have any content.
Yeah.
Because like obviously they're university professors, so they're all pretty busy, and like for them to give up their time is like, it's kind of hard just because of their schedule, but it's also good for both people because they get to like increase their reputation, but then other people get to like learn. So it's pretty cool how that works.
Yeah.
And
cool,
I was
man.
really lucky with that actually, because I was just on a tour of Macquarie Uni a couple of years back, and I went to the media facilities, and like the person doing the tour left me behind, and I was like, oh, and I met this random guy, and I was like, oh, take him to the radio station, and I just started talking to the guy there, and he's like, oh, yeah, you can start at the beginning of next year. So I just started a year early, because you're meant to be in uni to start volunteering.
Oh, so you started
but
working
I started
before
in year
uni?
12. Yeah.
No way, that's
and
awesome.
it was so flexible as well, because
Yeah.
when there was like exams and things on, they like let you kind of do that before you come back kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome
So
experience.
and it's really cool for like connections and meeting people and just like making friends and all that.
Yeah, so your uni experience so far has been quite positive?
Oh, definitely.
Even though your first year of uni has been during COVID.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is like I've actually managed to go on campus quite a bit, especially in the second semester, because every uni has its own sort of rules about on-campus time, but I just put as many classes on campus as I could. Then also volunteering on the Friday. So that means I always get that extra day there. So that's always fun.
Yeah, awesome.
And then like I always try to like meet new people all the time. The big thing with uni as well, especially with meeting people, is you have to be very self-sufficient, and like you have to show the initiative. Like no one's gonna like go up to you. You have to go up to them.
This is a great point. Dude, this is such a great point.
And that's a big thing that I've really learned. Like when I was younger, I used to always wait for people to call my name or come up to me or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I'm the one like sitting in the uni bar, kind of talking to people, going up to them.
Yeah, dude, that's so important. And
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people who don't have many friends at university, and I think they just assumed people were gonna, like, friends are just gonna happen. And I think we need to accept that that's not really how it works. And most people are scared to approach people.
Yeah.
And so if you can start approaching people, and just as you say at the bar, just go say hello. Like start making some friends at uni. By having friends at uni, your experience is gonna be so much better.
Definitely.
Otherwise, you're gonna be on your own.
But yeah, and I feel like that has helped me become a lot more extroverted, because it just forces you to take that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of it as something you needed to do. I just thought, oh, this would be a fun thing to do.
It just came
Let me just
naturally.
go and talk to people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember in the orientation week, I met so many random people, like so many international students doing like business admin. They're all like 5 years older than me, stuff. But yeah, but the interesting thing is that unless you like deliberately organize stuff, it's very hard to see those people again.
It is, yeah.
So it's best to, I know it's pretty hard, but like best to try and meet people in your classes and in your year and stuff like that. And like social media is a very important tool for like building and developing those relationships, because then you can still keep in touch with them without actually seeing them face to face.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's cool as well.
And social media, and I talk about it quite a bit. Like, I think social media can be very dangerous,
definitely,
very addictive, and very, very toxic. But if you're going to use social media, you can use it to your advantage and start messaging people.
Yeah, like, it all depends on how you use it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you see someone, you meet someone at the bar, get their Instagram, message them, hey man, love to catch up again or something.
Yeah.
Like, I think it can be scary. I get why it can be scary, but most people want to meet people, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like, I've seen tutorials, people being like extremely awkward.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of tutorials, I'm like the only person that says anything. And sometimes you don't want to take away other people's opportunity to say stuff. But then, like, if you don't say anything, it's just going to be like a silent. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So your uni experience has been great so far, which is really good to hear, especially because a lot of people have had a tough year with coronavirus.
Yeah, I've also been quite lucky as well, just like with going back on campus and like building those connections. I feel like a big thing for me enhancing my uni experience was like having those connections from before. And then like I also had it like a lot easier with online tutorials, because I would like message people through there or like talk to them and stuff. So having that connection and building that rapport with the class and with other people, it really helps out.
So you've got a lot of friends now, do you?
Not a huge amount of friends, I'd say, but just like I know a lot of people.
A lot of connections.
But then the thing with Messenger as well, like connections can easily fall apart, like really, really quickly. Like you put so much faith into people like being like ultra responsive, because you would think like instant messaging, instant responding, like that kind of thing. But it doesn't really work like that, as a lot of people would know. So it's just like a very delicate thing. Like you were saying that it's good, but it can also be very toxic. So.
Yeah, I mean, social media, as we mentioned, it can be amazing. It can open up a lot of doors for you, but most people let it consume them, or their relationship with their phone and their social media is very one way. They're very, they're putting in a lot of time and not getting much, reward back. Whereas I think you can put in time and you can use it to your advantage by connecting with people, by, starting a business or whatever. Leveraging social media so it's better is super important. And obviously you messaged me, so you've been leveraging it, as I can see.
Yeah. No, but I just think, like, especially with people like you, it's just like, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly.
Like, they can just not reply, which you would expect. And then, like, it can open so many doors. It's just about talking and, like, putting yourself out there.
Absolutely. And, yeah, you're right. The worst thing that can happen is they don't respond or they say no.
Yeah.
That's really it. And I've had people not respond all the time. Like, I've reached out to some people to come on the show, haven't got a response. It sucks. It sucks, but you move on. Yeah,
but then the more you do it, the better, the more experienced you are.
100%. The more you do it, the easier it gets. It's like building a muscle, right?
Yeah.
You've just got to keep doing those reps.
Keep practicing.
Yeah, keep practicing. Because you mentioned, like, this morning, you were working out. Usually, you do a lot of working out, do you?
Yeah, so I do quite a bit of stuff. So, like, every 4 days a week, I do, like, different workouts. So, like, on Mondays and Fridays, I do like sit-ups and these things called sit-to-stands, which are kind of similar to squats and then like balancing. And then the other days, I do like sidestepping, just for like more balancing, and then squats and then sit-to-stands again. And I do a lot of walking as well and swimming. I can actually swim up to like a K.
Really? So you swim a kilometer?
Cool. Yeah, I have in the past. I'm pretty slow. Yeah, I just feel like exercise is really important to me, just to like get the day started off in the right way, and like just kind of good for your mental health and good for your like physique, and obviously your kind of self-pride in yourself, knowing that knowing that your body's in shape. Because I feel like if one thing is in order, it kind of flows on to everything else. Like if say my exercise or my walking didn't go well, like that kind of lingering feeling will go on to the next thing I'm going to do. But then if you feel like, oh, I did great exercise today, or I was really proud of this performance, it'll kind of flow on to the next thing, and it'll just get you like hyped for whatever the next activity you're doing. So yeah, it's really important to me.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I start off my day I go 5:30 every morning at the cafe, do some work. I exercise most days as well. Like it's just little wins, right? If you can have a little win, that goes on to a next little win and a next little win and a next little win. And by having lots of little wins throughout the day, you're going to achieve your big win.
Yeah, and I feel like anyone, regardless of their ability, like other people with like mobility kind of compromises like mine, like you should just try and exercise as much as possible because it's like so important for your long term and your like overall health, and you'll reap the benefits later and even like in the present now. Like because I've built this habit up now, like I can carry it with me and be consistent with everything and like carry it forward later on.
Dude, where did this discipline come from? You're more disciplined than most people. Like exercising must be more difficult for you than me.
We kind of started more during lockdown because like my physio kind of suggested for me to change our exercise routine because it was mostly all in like bed and stuff. And then like I started doing more like a cardio workout for me to like put my heart rate up and do more reps and things like that. And then like during lockdown, contrary to most people, just because of that and like we got a home gym as well, so doing extra workouts with my brother and like extra distance walking, I kind of lost quite a bit of weight. And then like kind of made some modifications to how much I was eating and then like it just kind of carried on. Like now I feel a lot better because I'm in like better shape and like I got a nice routine going on and I like enjoy the process of exercising and working hard, and then like you kind of get rewarded afterwards because I did most of my exercise in the morning and then the rest of the day my muscles and body can recover, then my mind can work. That's just how it is, because it's interesting because my body doesn't function that well later in the day. My mind functions better after. So I always exercise first thing when I get up. Like before I eat, I do all my like reps and exercises and then go for a walk and then eat, stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you're an inspiration. Like you're doing more than most people I know. I actually don't exercise that much. I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually, and soccer in between.
Whatever you can do, it's just like it all helps.
Oh, absolutely. And I just did an episode on goal setting, but like you just got to do step by. If you can only do 2 times a week, start off with 2 times a week and build your way up.
But the interesting thing with me is it just kind of happened. Like I didn't really plan for it.
Yeah.
And I feel as well like some of the best things I've done, like the quickest 3K walks, or I remember once, I think it was last year, at the swimming pool I swim at, I walked up the ramp all by myself. And during those times, like I feel like I've been really distracted. So when you're distracted, you're not thinking too hard into what you're doing. And then like before you know it, it's just finished. Like I remember even the other night, it was like my 4th cold shower in the last few weeks. And then like without even realizing, I put it all the way on cold, and because I was so distracted, I didn't even realize that. And then like before you know it, it's kind of finished. It shows how like important and powerful distraction can be. Like obviously there's 2 sides to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be like really bad, but also really good.
But I know what you mean.
Depends how you use it.
I think that's a great example. And an example that I would use is sometimes when you're running, like if you're doing like a 5K, 10K, whatever, sometimes you just zone out and you just get distracted. You just start thinking about stuff, and then you've done a kilometer and you're like, oh, that's right, I'm running. I forgot.
Yeah.
And that's the zone I'm always trying to enter, as opposed to like focusing on your each step, and you're focusing on how tired you are. If you can just kind of zone out, and it's almost like some people will meditate while they run.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
They'll go for a run, and while they're running, that's where they kind of meditate. They kind of do the same at the same time. Like, because you mentioned you do a bit of meditating, don't you?
Yeah, I do about 10 to 12 minutes a day, and I made like a pact to myself. I think it was like in March or April this year, to like make it a habit to do meditation every day. And like that's really helped me kind of reduce my stress and anxiety in certain areas. Just like overall general well-being. Like I haven't got kind of as stressed or like anxious about different things. So it's definitely something you should try. And there's always times where like you don't really feel like doing it, but then after you do it, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same with so much stuff.
Same with
like,
exercise.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like, oh, why am I doing this? Why do I have to get off at this time? Whatever. But then, like, after you do it, just because of the extra effort those days, it just feels so much more rewarding. And then like once you do it a certain number of times, you get kind of into a habit where you can almost do it yourself because you've like memorized the whole exercise you do.
You're preaching to the choir. Like this is what I talk about all the time. Like it's so important. And what you said before, what you just said links back to what you said before. Comfort zones. We need to get out of our comfort zones. So if you don't want to meditate because it's I can't be bothered, I'm tired, it's going to be uncomfortable. Do it, and then meditate. And, you know, you're going to build that habit. And I promise you, once you've done it, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 times, it's going to get easier. Yeah. They say it takes 60 days to form a habit.
Isn't it like 10,000 hours or something?
No, it's different. It depends on the habit. 10,000 hours is what they say, 10,000 hours and you've mastered the skill. So if you've done something for 10,000 hours, you're now considered like you've mastered the skill. So if you've meditated for 10,000 hours, which is a lot, then you'd be a master, you know.
Well, yeah, I think it is almost 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's crazy.
Yeah. What are like some of the habits you have that you do like every day?
So my habits are I wake up at 5 and I go 5:30 club and I journal for like 10, 20 minutes. I just write about my day and stuff, and that's on my iPad. And then I just do some reading. Then I usually go gym, or I just go straight to work depending on the day. And and then they're probably the main habits. I like to get my habits done in the morning. And then I have a bottle of water next to me at my office, which I just drink at. So I try to do at least 1 liter or 2 liters a day, depending. And then
that's one thing I'm not good at doing.
So I
never drink enough water.
Yeah. And I just realized I've been telling you all my good habits. I've also got bad habits, right?
Everyone does.
Yeah.
There's no like perfect person.
Yeah, exactly. And my habits, I'm on my phone too much. TikTok, man. I'm on TikTok too much.
Isn't that for marketing as well though, for this?
I do. Yeah. That's a problem. Like for me, TikTok is professional work, but then it's also pleasure. Right. And so I kind of blur the line between the two. What are bad habits? I'm probably on Instagram too much, I'd say.
It's fine.
Yeah. I think it's mainly that all my bad habits revolve around my phone. Media. Yeah, my phone and social media. What about you?
I feel like that's most people's problem.
Yeah, what are your habits?
My bad habits are like playing too much cricket on my phone.
Yeah,
I just have like too much of an obsession. Like I just get so distracted. Then like when I'm meant to be doing something, I just go on my phone and play. Yeah. Or like there's actually a bocce game on the App Store. There's sport that I play. So I used to play that all the time with another one of my teammates. But like, yeah, mainly exercising and meditating every day.
Sorry, I do a meditation as well. I do that. I mentioned to you before, the Wim Hof breathing.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes. It's a meditation, but I really struggle to sit still for 10 minutes and like not do anything and just breathe.
Right.
Like just go sit still. So the breathing exercise is really good because you go.
Is it an unguided thing? Like you just...
No, it's guided.
Oh, right.
I just follow it. It's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
If you just search Wim Hof breathing.
I think my brother does it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to him, so he might have checked it out. It's really good though. And as you mentioned, you feel really good afterwards.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And so I think meditation is a great thing to get into, especially, you know, if you have a bit of stress or anxiety in your life, it can actually quite help.
Yeah, and the funny thing is with exercise as well, like I get so much energy from it. Like often before I start, I feel like kind of tired, like not really ready to do anything. Then afterwards, you just feel so much better.
Yeah, and exercise releases endorphins.
Yeah,
and they say endorphins, that feeling you have after exercise, is similar to like being on drugs.
Yeah,
like not the same.
Yeah,
it's very mild, but it's just that great feeling of like, oh, and you've accomplished something.
Yeah,
you know, you've started your day right. And once again, it's uncomfortable to get up early and exercise, or to get up and start exercising because you're tired, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But if it's uncomfortable, you should probably do it.
Well, I get up at 8, so like that's not really that early compared to you.
No, but it's the first thing you're doing. Yeah. Though. You're getting up and you're exercising first thing. It doesn't matter what time you get up.
Yeah. It's always that feeling of like, getting up is like the hardest thing.
Yeah.
It takes me like a couple of hours to get up properly.
Oh, really?
I know that.
Yeah.
Like when my mind is like fully functioning, actually ready to do something. Oh yeah, I know like, especially during lockdown, when I was at home, it used to take me like 1.5 hours to start doing any uni work. So I just like sit on my phone and like be unmotivated.
Dude,
most of the AM hours until I actually started doing anything.
Oh, you're the opposite of me then, because I can't work at night.
Oh, I love working at night.
I hate working at night. That's why I get up early. I'd rather work early. And so I feel like you're either one or the other, right? You either love working at night or you love working in the morning.
I like working like between sort of 3 and 4 and like 10 or 11.
Oh yeah, that's your
a
prime.
really good time.
That's your prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most people don't even know that. Like the fact that you're aware of when you work best is really important because it means you can save your most important stuff for those hours. So whatever is the most, mentally draining work or whatever you have to do.
I do in the afternoon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good.
I can't work in the morning.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because I flipped completely. Up until I was like 11 or 12, I used to get up at 5 a.m. every day myself. But then, like, that's when I had, like, not that much at stake, not that much exercising. Like, my life has changed quite a bit since then. Yeah. Like, I remember every year, especially on, like, New Year's Eve and stuff, I couldn't sleep in. Like, my family and stuff were forcing me to get up late. And now, like, I can't get up early. So it's just funny how it's changed.
Yeah. That's just what happens, though.
Yeah.
But I wanted to also talk about, you mentioned you do some public speaking as well.
Yeah.
Like, they say public speaking is, people fear death second, right? So they say public speaking is first.
I thought death was first.
They say public speaking is first, death is second. I don't know if that's like a proper fact or if it's just like a funny, little takeaway thing.
Yeah.
But people are terrified of public speaking. So how did you get around that kind of fear, I guess?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really have that much of a fear because, like, for me, like, I couldn't play sport as easily as other people, stuff like that.
But you still play sport?
Yeah, I play a Paralympic sport, which is quite similar to lawn bowls, which is played with, like, red and blue leather balls and a white jack. It's called bocce. It's played indoors. It's quite a strategic sport. It's,
cool.
Similar to chess with a ball.
No way.
Just because of, like, all different balls you have to, like, move around and the jack placement and even sometimes knocking the jack out so it goes back into the middle of the court. And, yeah, I'm on the state team and I've also represented Australia. I remember a couple of years ago, our team came second in the regional open in Taiwan. So that was really fun. And
That's unreal.
And I just recently won my state titles on Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Dude, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was good because, like, it was the first time in almost 2 years I did tournaments. So to get back in play, I was really excited about because I took a lot of time off last year because of HSC and stuff. Anyway, so you were asking about public speaking.
Yeah, because people are scared of public speaking, but you mentioned you've done quite a bit.
Well, I always say to people, like, when they're doing public speaking, just pretend like you're talking to your friend, like a conversation, and then just, like, put kind of emotion into it, make it, like, quite personal. And, like, talking has always been, like, a strong suit of mine, so I always use that quite effectively, like, and I was also quite lucky with some of the opportunities I got, like, about 5 years ago, because my dad worked for Telstra at the time. He nominated my brother and I to speak at a TEDx event there, and that was, like, my first big speech. And, like, a year later, my rehab specialist at Westmead Hospital, who's helped me with all my different surgeries and rehab, he wanted my brother and I to speak at the Westmead Children's Ball, and that was, like, one of the best speeches I've ever done. Because,
I saw it. I watched it.
Yeah, because I was able to give back to all those people that had given me so much. So, like, to help them raise money for, like, people and medications and treatments and stuff, that was really cool. And then going after Jimmy Barnes was also pretty cool as well.
You spoke after Jimmy Barnes?
Yeah.
Where at?
I forgot exactly where it was. I think it was in the city somewhere.
No
but
way.
That was at the same event.
What was the talk on?
So, I was basically, like, mine and my brother's kind of life experiences and, like, how we've been influenced by each other, and also, like, the work that the hospital has done. Because, like, I spent a lot of my kind of between, like, 5 and sort of 12, 13, I had, like, surgeries on and off during that time. So those kind of years was, like, quite a bit of time in the hospital, and, like, the way the people supported me there, like, all the doctors and nurses and rehab specialists and them. So just, like, the impact they had on the life I'd led, and then stuff about me and my brother and, like, how he was influenced by me, and then, like, just what I've been able to achieve, things like that. It's mainly just to kind of inspire others and, like, set an example.
Yeah, because you've surfed, you've climbed up a mountain or on someone's back.
Yeah.
You've done a TEDx talk. That's crazy. You play sport. Yeah, you exercise every single morning. Like, there's so much going on here, and obviously you've done all this with what you've been given.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you can either make excuses or you can have results. You can't have both. That's something that we talk about with the company I'm a part of. And it's just like, you don't make excuses, you just do it.
Yeah, but I feel like if you don't take it, you're going to lose it. So you should just you should just sort of take everything with open arms, because you never know where it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
And I got this really cool thing, because like cricket is like a massive passion of mine. And I remember a couple of years ago, because this girl that I used to swim with, her dad was on the board of Cricket New South Wales. Then somehow I got a role as a cricket ambassador for the Cerebral Palsy Alliance.
No way.
And then I got to go in the Channel 9 commentary box one day. That was so sick.
Dude, you just keep
And
pulling
I've
it.
met like so many athletes and stuff like that.
I saw a photo with you and Shane Warne.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've met like all the Sydney Sixers players and like Sydney Swans players and stuff. So I've been really, really lucky.
And that's just based off swimming, because you met that girl.
No, it's, well, the stuff for the commentary box was based on the swimming. The other stuff was separate. I actually got invited to some media launch at the SCG, and then like all the Swans players were there. So I got to meet the whole team.
No way.
So it's all like a lot of luck and like people helping me and stuff.
I don't know if it is luck though, because I think you're creating this life for yourself.
Yeah.
You're looking for opportunities. And I think it's easy to say it was lucky, but I think you've put yourself out there. You've shown that you're hungry and you want to, meet people, make an impact and work hard. And as a result, you've been invited to these things because people know who you are and they want to, invite you along.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't usually thought about that, but I always like to take like a modest outlook towards it. So that's why.
Yeah, no, I think there's always luck involved, but also I think you've created your own luck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's two big things about like creating, making the most of your opportunities, but also creating opportunities for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a combination of those two things.
Dude, that's great. You got to create opportunities, and then once you've got them, make the most of them, right?
Yeah. But you kind of helped me with this, because I wasn't really like looking for it. I was like, oh, a good podcast or whatever. And then you were like, oh, come on my podcast.
Yeah.
So it's just like something I wasn't expecting. So that's the kind of thing where like opportunities are kind of half created and half made, in that like it's like up to you to kind of put yourself out. But you're also relying on the other people to help you kind of make it happen.
Yeah,
because you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah,
So
I invited you on the podcast, but only because you messaged me.
Oh, right.
Because you messaged me, and then I was like, we were chatting, and then I was like, oh, you should come on the podcast. So if you didn't message me, if you didn't reach out, I might not have invited you on.
Yeah.
So you took the first step. You created that opportunity, and then you took advantage of it, right?
No, but it's very interesting, because I didn't think you knew a huge amount about me then. So I was wondering why you like wanted me to come on, but like.
Well, just after what Sachin had said, and I watched your talk.
Oh, right. So you watched all that beforehand.
I can't remember. I watched. He sent me the TEDx or the talk you both did, where you spoke about your story and stuff, and I was like, this guy's awesome. So let's get him on. But yeah, so tell me, have you done it? You've obviously listed off a lot of cool stuff that you've done. So surfing, abseiling, all this stuff. Like, do you have any advice for people who are scared to do something?
Just try everything. Like, put yourself out there. Like, get in touch with as many people as you can. But like, especially going through kind of high school into uni, and like in uni, it's all about just experimenting, connecting with many different people, putting yourself out there to create the opportunities, being like really committed and like dedicated to what it is you want to do. And if you're not, like, trying just becomes that much more important, because it'll help you gain clarity. And even then, like, many people kind of switch careers all the time, or like
100%.
Find different ways to get into where they want to go. So it's all just about kind of just backing yourself, trying different things, connecting with different people, being committed, setting kind of, not as much setting goals, because I feel like they're good, but they can sometimes put too much pressure. Just thinking about like what it is you want to do, having like a plan, then sort of executing it. But I feel like the biggest thing is just putting yourself out there, because you never know who you're going to find and what that's going to lead you to.
Yeah. Have you heard me talk about the 1,000 doors?
I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's literally that. It's just putting yourself out there. There could be heaps of opportunities. You never know. Behind one door could be 1,000 doors.
Yeah,
So
I remember that.
You meet one person, there might be 1,000 doors behind them, right? So by putting yourself out there, as you mentioned, you might meet that girl at swimming, and she introduces you to her dad, and he invites you out to the cricket, and now you're going to meet all these cricket players, all because you decided to start swimming.
One door. Yeah.
And so that's 1,000 doors, right? And it's such a... You basically just explained it. Like, it's so important. And tasting as well. Like, I'm such a big fan of tasting. Like, you want to, dip your toes, figure out what you want to do. And once again, as you mentioned, people switch careers all the time. It's no big deal if you feel like you're locked in, because you can get out and switch careers.
Another big thing is to just enjoy everything. Just like make the most of it, and like look at what kind of benefit you can have from it. Because everything is useful in its own right, and it can come in handy later on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great advice. But is there anything else you wanted to cover? I'm keen to hear, what are your plans? Like, where do you want to be in 10 years? Like, what's your kind of your goal for life?
That's kind of far away.
Well, like, what do you want to do for work? Do you want to get more? You're doing media, obviously. Do you want to get in radio, podcasting? What's kind of your
I want to get into sports broadcasting.
Sport, that's right, yeah.
Either in, like, TV or radio. But I also want to do, like, different kind of volunteer work. Like, go overseas and, like, help out disadvantaged kids, like, or, like, people just, like, learning different skills. So, like, maybe teaching them English, or like teaching them about public speaking even. Or something like that. Because like I feel like I've always been one of those people that has loved to kind of give back. And I have worked with some social enterprises in the past. Like one which I worked on with the help of my brother, because he got me in contact with this lady in year 11, 12. What they basically did was they sold thongs, and for each pair of thongs, a child in India that was helped by the Hope Foundation, they got a pair of shoes. So that was really cool.
I should clarify for international listeners, what we call thongs in Australia are like sandals. Just because thongs in America are like really tight underwear. So thongs are like, what we call thongs are, how do you explain it? It's like those sandals where it goes in between your toes. I don't know. But that's a thong, so sorry.
Yeah, so that was really cool to get that like first-hand impact experience, just knowing what you're doing is going and like really benefiting people. So that's like a really big thing.
Well, dude, you're impacting people now.
Maybe like living overseas as well.
Yeah.
At some point.
But like, you're impacting people now by coming on this podcast. Hopefully, thousands of people might listen to this and get some value out of it.
Your rating might get a number one again.
Yeah. You'll put us on number one charts. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So I'm really excited to see where you go. I think traveling is so important, obviously after COVID. Keen to see where you go. Obviously social enterprises, giving back, that's something we both agree on. Like I'm all about giving back. So it's awesome to see that you have that beliefs in you as well. But before we wrap up this episode, we kind of just went through some stuff, but what would your number one piece of advice be for the younger generation?
So just one thing. Yeah.
And so it could be anything.
So I think the number one thing is to just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because that just shows so many things in itself. It shows that you're committed. It shows that you're passionate. It shows that you're ambitious. It shows that you're wanting to create and make opportunities which will lead to bigger and better things and help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Dude, I love it. So. And I think the caveat to putting yourself out there is you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So get uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable and put yourself out there.
That's like the Yes Theory motto.
Yeah, seek discomfort.
Yeah.
It's
like in a different way. Yeah,
it's the same thing. That's their clothing brand. I love it. It's a great clothing brand name.
Oh, do you have the shirt?
I do. My sister got me one for Christmas last year, so I've got one. Didn't wear it today, but yeah, it's good. Anyway, Aryan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If anyone wants to reach out to you, ask you any questions, or kind of get in touch with you, what's the best place to go?
Oh, I would say like Facebook or LinkedIn. Probably more Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
So just like look me up.
Yeah.
My name is spelled AARYANSHAH. Or you can even give me a call if you want.
Yeah. So I'll put your Facebook in the link, and if people want,
and you have my number as well.
Yeah, people can click on that, and they can send you a message, and if they want to jump on Zoom with you or have a chat,
definitely.
I'm sure you'd love to.
Always.
So. Otherwise,
I love talking, so I'm always waiting for a chat. You probably figured that out by now.
Yeah. No, anyways, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks a lot.
Look forward to seeing where you go in life.
Yeah, cheers.
That's it for this episode of the Driven Young podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. That means the world to me. And if you got some value out of it, please shoot me a message on Instagram or reach out to me. Or I would love for you to leave a rating or review on this podcast. So make sure you are subscribed, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.